Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, Honorable Prime Minister, the Leader of Opposition, Honorable Cabinet colleagues, Honorable Members of Parliament, and to the thousands of Fijians watching this on the Fijian Government Facebook page, Minister of Education Facebook page, and other mediums across the country. Mr. Mullah Vinaka, Assalamu alaikum, a very good morning to you all. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise to talk about how the Minister of Education is taking on the challenge that COVID-19 has presented, and also to correct some misinformation from the opposition, from the other side. Mr. Speaker, sir, when COVID-19 first hit our shores, it triggered a protective instinct for our young ones, at least for this side of the House. We knew we needed to protect them from the virus, but we also knew we had to find ways to ensure a minimum impact on education. Of course, it took a lot of planning and hard work led by the Honorable Prime Minister to keep Fiji COVID contained, and we were finally able to send safely our young ones back to school. Mr. Speaker, sir, I wish to take this opportunity to urge parents and students to ensure that our efforts to get you back to school does not go in vain. Mr. Speaker, sir, the 2020-21 Fijian National Budget enabled us to continue with the many initiatives that directly benefit Fijian children from all backgrounds. Initiatives such as free tuition fees, free textbooks continue to ensure that hundreds of thousands of Fijian children get an education. Subsidized bus fare further ensures that children from low-income families get the opportunity to reach school and back home. And of course, this will continue. Mr. Speaker, there are a total of 151,692 primary school students and a total of 64,019 secondary school students and thousands of ECE students were assisted through the free education grant in the last financial year alone. And this will also continue. Of course, this also includes the toppers and the TELS scheme to enable that our students also reach tertiary education. Mr. Speaker, sir, let me remind everyone watching that before the Bainimarama and the Fiji First government, we all know the hardships that parents had to face in sending their children to school. Many of our own parents and grandparents know this very well, and we also know that. And we must not forget the challenges and sacrifices they made to ensure that we are where we are today. And the government of the day has taken a lot of responsibilities off the shoulders of the parents to ensure that children continue to reach our schools. We, Mr. Speaker, says, honorable members of the House, the least we can do is ensure that our children are responsible. We ensure that we teach discipline in our homes and ensure that all children who are supposed to be in school reach our schools, utilizing the assistance provided by the government. Mr. Speaker, say, all schools have received, from the Ministry of Education, received free education grant, which is commonly known as FEG. And these are provided to the schools after they submit their audited financial accounts, and a requirement that every management and every school head is very well aware of. This grant that we call the free education grant is for the general management of the school premises and is to be used on things such as science lab equipment, computer lab equipment, PMEC equipments, building and other asset management, maintenance, and of course it is also to pay for non-teaching staff such as librarians, caretakers, bursars, and administrative staff. Schools, like I said, must submit the audited financial accounts before the deadline, and this is 31st of March, to ensure efficient and timely release of their timely grants. Mr. Speaker said these audited financial accounts provide transparency on how the free education grant is utilized. Schools also provide updates on their monthly spending details. Mr. Speaker said the reason we require schools to be compliant and provide accountability is that we want to know that funds are spent efficiently, especially in this case, because the future of our young ones is at stake. 100% Term 1 2020 grant was released to 706 primary schools out of the 735 primary schools, as these schools were the only compliant schools. The Ministry's audit team works very closely with those schools which have non-compliant issues to ensure that we don't centralize the grant. When there are cases of non-compliance received by the Ministry, in many cases it is resolved, but in some cases when the accounts are not in order, the Ministry centralizes the grants, but we still ensure that the grant is released for the school's operation, but from the headquarters. 100% of Term 1 2020 grant was released to 171 compliant secondary schools of the 172 secondary schools. So we've seen an increase in compliance from our schools and management, so I'd like to thank them for that. Mr. Speaker, say, when we talk about FEC grant, the amount that is given to individual students depends on the level and the classification of the schools. For primary school, for ECE, the FEC grant per year is $150. And for primary schools, the allocation ranges from $157 to $232, with small schools with the numbers less than 200 receiving a base grant. So if the school has a roll of 51 students, 200, we give them additional base grant of $10,000 to assist them with the operations. In terms of secondary school FEC allocation, Mr. Speaker, say, the per capita grant per child per year ranges from $367 to $852. Obviously, the schools have to give us an updated account of the number of students per stream, and then we release these grants to them. Other than the primary education grant, we have special schools which are provided with special education grant, which is of $500 per child. And this is apart from the FEC grant, which is used to assist children needing assistance in our special school. Mr. Speaker, apart from that, we also have the boat and the outboard motor engine grant, the printing of textbooks that we do, the textbooks, per capita grant for primary boarding and secondary boarding. These are the boarding schools that are run by school managements. These are not the government boarding schools. And in most of these schools, it's a management-run boarding schools where parents contribute to the students, but we give them a supplementary grant. To date, we have about 49 schools that the government, that schools are managed by managements, and the government gives them a per capita grant per student per term for their boarding expenses. We have government boarding schools, ration grant, that's about $2.8 million to ensure that our children are fed well in the government schools. Then, of course, we mentioned the tuition subsidy grant for ECE. This year we've been given close to $2.5 million, and the transport assistance that we talked about yesterday comes at a total of $21.4 million. So this all contributes to ensuring that our children remain in schools. Apart from that, Mr. Speaker, we have per capita grant for our vocational students. You are all aware that the Technical Colleges of Fiji has been now transferred to FNU, but we have 39 schools, 39 secondary schools that continue to have vocational classes for our students, and they get a per capita grant of $610, and they are engaged in Certificate 1 and Certificate 2 vocational level courses. And like I mentioned, the special education children get $500. Mr. Speaker, because of the amount of money that is given towards the free education, we do not condone any forms of abuse and mismanagement and unnecessary expenditures carried out, and of course non-compliance issues such as reporting on deadlines, submission of the financial accounts, spending details that are not updated, class audits that are not conducted, and therefore we sometimes stop the schools from receiving grants until they become compliant. But again, if I can say, we've noted an improvement in schools on these issues as well, and that has been because of the schools audit team going out and talking to the school managements and the heads of schools about the usage of these grants. Mr. Speaker, all the payment processes for the particular school will be controlled by the Ministry for non-compliance for that term only until the school becomes compliant. We do understand that sometimes it causes inconvenience for the operations of school, but we want to ensure that schools comply to that. And Mr. Speaker, if a particular school has unused amount, then these become savings for them and they accumulate it over the years, and then the management and the schools request the ministry through the permanent secretary if that savings could be utilized for other development works within the school. So we also accommodate that. Mr. Speaker, for schools that are run by managements, we also, like I said, provide supplementary hostel grants, and these managements' work is coordinated by the school management handbook. Mr. Speaker, there's a separate allocation for textbooks, and since the ministry has started to provide textbooks to the students, we have spent a substantial amount in ensuring that children receive textbooks on time. However, we've also noted irresponsibility on the part of some students and actually parents not keeping those books in the condition that the books have been given to the children. And every year, the ministry utilizes the funds allocated for textbooks to top up the book scheme in the schools. So from 2021, Mr. Speaker said there is going to be a textbook policy where we are going to hold the children and parents more responsible. We want to ensure that the books given to them is returned for those students who will be using it in the next years. Mr. Speaker says school heads and school managements in managing the free education grant have the guidance of the School Management Handbook 2020 and for the financial management arrangements for school policies. The Ministry, in conjunction with the Ministry of Economy and Solicitor General's Office, is also working on a draft grant agreement for schools. Unfortunately, we never had any grant agreements for schools since the time the free education grant started. So we are now working on that. We are in the final stages of a grant agreement, together with the handbook and our policies, which will form the framework for prudent management in schools regarding the free education grant and assistance that is provided. We urge those responsible for guiding our young ones to utilize these funds prudently and minimize unnecessary expenditure, especially in times where we've had our free education grant reduced. And this is just to ensure efficiently we use our taxpayers' dollars, but also set an example to the very students we are looking at. Mr. Speaker, the current fiscal year budget for the free education grant is 60.7 million, 31.5 million for primary schools, 29.2 million for secondary schools, and for ECE subsidy, we've got 2.598 million, 2.59. Mr. Speaker, so talking about grants, and I'd like to continue on from where I left yesterday during the question sessions, again on the government's provision of school lunches. I made it clear yesterday that heads of schools had been advised, we've spoken to them, we've consulted with them on the way they need to approach this in their own schools, because they are in a better position to know the assistance that their children need. The line of attack that has come against the government and the Ministry of Education, personally to me, Mr. Speaker, clearly indicates, again, I'm going to you, Mr. Honorable Biman Prasad, probably have no idea about how reality works and completely lacks the understanding of how school systems work. Providing lunch, providing nutritious lunch has always been a parental responsibility for decades. Honorable Kepa, you'll agree with me. Mr. Speaker said there are more than 1,000 schools across the country with more than 250,000 children and close to 13,000 teachers. The government already provides relief assistance to families affected by COVID-19 in the form of unemployment benefit every fortnight. And again, it has been mentioned in the House that 100 million has been set aside further for unemployment benefits. Mr. Speaker said the ministry cannot dictate what food parents want to give to their child. We need to understand food allergies, we need to understand dietary preferences, we need to understand faith-based schools with the restrictions, we need to understand religious beliefs, we do not allow certain foods to be consumed by children, we need to understand food safety and storage, we need to ensure OHS standards are met, and we also need to look at what happens in the case of food contamination. Who will take responsibility? So I suggest we let that be a parental responsibility. These are the choices we leave to the parents while we assist them with many other incentives like free education, water, electricity subsidies, other grants and benefits, including those that have lost out on employment with the unemployment benefits. Heads of schools, I will again put it to the Parliament, have been briefed and will act according to look after the interests of the children in the care. The participation of parents in the educational process means that teachers and parents share the responsibility to teach students and work together to achieve our educational goals. This is the time for us to come together and help each other, Mr. Speaker said, instead of criticizing government's initiatives for the sake of politics. I'd like to thank everybody and the many religious groups, youth groups, NGOs, entities, individuals, donors and sponsors, corporate bodies who have taken action to provide help to our young Fijians during this pandemic, including our school children. So thank you very much for all your helping hands. But Mr. Speaker said, in what can only be deemed as a crazy rant, NFP leader Honorable Biman Prasad launched a video on his Facebook page attacking me and making all kinds of allegations. Mr. Speaker, sir, we as honourable members of the House are being watched by children and must set a good example in all and everything that we do. I was disappointed that the learned professor appeared on a video and used such terrible grammar, setting the worst example for aspiring students who may have come across the video. Mr. Speaker, sir, I'd like to remind the Honourable Prasad that I am a minister, politician, mother, sister, daughter, friend. I was very disgusted at the level of disrespect shown by the NFP leader to me as a woman when he called me a motormouth. Honourable Prasad, you don't have to look far. You don't have to look far to tell yourself who a motormouth is. So I'd rather you look behind you. Don't get me wrong. I was not disgusted for myself. I was disgusted for every individual who must have watched that. And believe me, it is not right for them to think it is acceptable for a man to disrespect and insult any woman. Please do not set a
point of order, Mr. Speaker. Point of order, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I have to just say, I'm sorry, after listening to Honourable V.M. Pillay talk about me the way he did in this august House, with no help from the ladies on the other side, I think it's rich that the Honourable Minister for Education comes here and talks about respect for women. That is my point of order. If you want respect, you have to learn to give it as well. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Order. You have the floor. Order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, I think by now the members of this House and the women in this House have learned we need to fight our own battles. We will fight our own battles, like it or not. Mr. Speaker, sir.
Order.
Mr. Speaker, sir, again, let me put it straight. Disgusted that the precedent set by Honourable Prasad for all those men and boys watching who might think it is okay to insult women in this manner instead of debating on the points. Honourable Biman Prasad, what happened? What happened when you used to call me, when you used to write to me, when you used to text me about issues? I used to deal with those. What happened? Because you might not have got those political scoring points when you were writing to me asking, Minister, can this be done? Minister, please look into that. It was not in the public space. So suddenly you wanted to go in the public space and create or score more political points. Stop that. Stop that. You can still call me, you can still write to me, you still have my number and I will deal with the issues. But stop your ranting, please. In fact, Honourable Prasad, I think you are misguided and you need a reality check. Mr. Speaker said, he said I completely lost the plot when it comes to looking after the welfare of the teachers and students. Honourable Prasad, you could benefit from some education. While you were making your nonsense videos, approximately 151,000 school students, primary, and 64,000 secondary school students were assisted through free education last year alone, and it will continue. That's 24% of our total population. Almost a quarter of the population has been helped and continue to be helped, which Honourable Prasad doesn't seem to see. For what reasons, I don't know. You know, I really wanted to say, you said I lost the plot. I wanted to say something else, but I'll say it in a very nicey manner. I think you've just lost the course. Mr. Speaker said, I lack human values, understanding and compassion, according to Honourable Prasad. I wonder, Mr. Speaker, say, where Honourable Prasad's human values, understanding and compassion were when he openly called for civil servants to get a pay cut in Fiji Times and on your website. Was the welfare for people not important then? No, I have a screenshot of it. Mr. Speaker said, it was the Fiji First government who ensured that all civil servants, including teachers, have their welfare. No, I have a screenshot, Honourable Prasad. We didn't listen to him. No amount of misinformation and insults by the learned professor will ever change the truth about the Fiji First government. Mr. Speaker said, coming to another issue, Honourable Randrondro. When Honourable Randrondro claimed, when Honourable Salote Randrondro claimed, oh, let it be, let me come to you. When Honourable Salote Randrondro claimed that she was denied entry in a school in Lambasa, that was also false, Honourable Randrondro, you know that.
Order.
Honorable
Order.
Prasad, you jumped on the bandwagon and said the minister must stop this nonsense. There's no nonsense. You were advised by the teacher. Let me clarify this. You take it to the media for clarification. Let me use my parliamentary privileges no. I have a written explanation from the teacher what happened. She advised you to write for permission, not to the minister, to the permanent secretary. You didn't do that, but you ran to your favorite newspaper. Lies, 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 lies.
Order.
Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir.
Honorable Minister, I think you started off well, but then you started to go astray and started going this way and that way. So I hope you stick to what you were originally.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I take note of that.
You have
Mr.
it.
Speaker, sir, there never has been a government like this one, and everybody knows, including the opposition, that they cannot form anything close to this. All you are doing is throwing obstacles in our path. We have done so much, and we will continue to do so, Mr. Speaker, sir. We care about our people, we respect each other, and we will continue to be tolerant to your misinformation. Mr. Speaker, sir.
Order.
Mr. Speaker, sir, many of these Fijians recognize the enormous task at hand, and they appreciate our never-ending efforts to keep our children in schools, even in these trying times. They know that teachers and other civil servants are true Fijian heroes who are striving to continue to serve the nation. We may come from many different backgrounds, but we want the same, the best for our people. Security for ourselves and our families, education and health for our children, opportunities for most of all. Fijian people want peace and a better Fiji for everyone. They know that this government, with the Fiji First government, they are cared for. And they know that our Honourable Prime Minister will do whatever it takes to keep Fiji and all Fijians safe. Because they've seen it time and again, through actions and not words. I'd like to once again sincerely thank the thousands of healthcare workers, teachers and civil servants, religious groups, youth groups, NGOs and Fijians who are ensuring Fiji is safe every single day. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.